So this story, honestly, it comes up every post-Easter time. It's a very traditional story to hear the weeks after Easter, obviously. But it's always made me think about Superman. Anyone else? No. Because you read the comics or watch the movies, and the latest one was really good. Did anyone see the latest Superman, the iteration? I thought it was really, really good. Because I've always thought it was really interesting that this guy who sort of looks very similar, he just puts on glasses, and then all of a sudden we can't see him. Like all of a sudden it's like, who is this person? And I always thought Superman and Clark Kent looked very alike. So I just never had understood how you could just be snowed. And I know he, affects a mild manner, and there's some supernatural things going on, but I've always thought it was funny that Clark Kent, I remember Saturday Night Live too, during one of the Superman iterations where the host gets up and puts on glasses, and they're like, where's the host? Who are you? And then he takes the glass, oh, the host is here, yeah, so good. Glasses, I don't know if they make that much of a difference. Can it really, really kind of block your understanding of who that person is? I don't think we can quite relate today in 2026, right? We live in a surveillance society now where you can figure out who someone is by how they walk in a video or facial features, right? We can open up our phone. Raise your hand if you can open up your phone with your face. Hopefully a lot of us, right? So I feel like it's just this interesting thing to think that you are next to someone you love and care about, and yet you do not recognize them, right? This journey story, again, is often read after Easter, and there's always a sense of wondering how the disciples did not recognize the person they were closest to in the world. How do they not see that it's Jesus right beside them? Did Jesus disguise himself? Is there some spiritual fancy answer, right? Did God hide him? Or, and this is sort of my take on it, is the Bible actually a book that understands what the creators of the Superman comic understood, which is the reality of our human nature? We tend to think about ourselves first and not worry about other people too much. And I don't mean that as an insult to us, but think about a group photo. Think about the times a group photo was taken and posted online or shown to you. Who do you look for first? Yourself. Did the camera capture you really well? We tend to see the things we sort of want to see or we're aware of as humans, and we tend to not worry about a lot of other things. I think we walk around in life thinking that everyone is judging us and very worried about us. And while online stuff can be really dicey, for the most part, people are concerned about themselves. I mean, in general, we don't tend to recognize things that also we don't have experience for, right, or expectation for. It's called cognitive bias, right? It sometimes gets us into trouble because our brains have sort of a safety and security mechanism. It affects how we process information, how we perceive others, how we make decisions, right? When our brain doesn't have a ready category for what we're seeing or experiencing, our brains quickly make a judgment based on perceptions, memories, individual or societal beliefs. Normal biases serve us on a survival level, right? They are unconscious and automatic. They process to help us make decisions quickly and more efficiently. Sometimes our survival requires us to make fast and good decisions, right? Mental shortcuts often help us out in moments where we need to process information quickly. But cognitive bias can lead us to make bad assumptions quickly as well. So I imagine watching someone die, watching something horrific, right? And then moving away out of fear. So you're in fight or flight mode, you're afraid, you're processing, you're grieving, all of these big things are happening. Means that you're not really expecting to see that same person again. Or if you see someone fly with a cape, right, and they're very far away and they're Superman and they're like, look, you don't expect to go to, say the newspaper, your local newspaper, and see them sitting there in a cubicle, right? Your brain struggles to process it. We are not hardwired to attach the extraordinary to the ordinary. We are not hardwired to attach the extraordinary to the ordinary, right? I've always thought it was this expectancy or this observer bias that created the scenario today on the disciples' long road. That we as humans don't often see what we're not looking for, or at least prepared for, right? We kind of are blinded easily, and again, I mean that in wisdom, right? In experience, in perception, right? Unless we're looking for something explicitly. It made me think of a story I heard of Banksy. In 2012, a mild-mannered street art vendor set up an unassuming and unpretentious stall near Central Park, along with any number of folks selling things on that sidewalk area with other touristy offerings. It was something that looked unremarkable. He sold $60 signed canvases. He made less than $500 for his total day's work. And later it was revealed that those were original works from the infamously famous artist Incognito Banksy. Now, it wasn't him at the stall, it was someone that he was paying. But later, those same pieces that cost someone $60 would go for, what would you figure? Like $200,000, right? Maybe more now. And so when you're walking around Central Park and you see a lineup of street vendors, you're not expecting a $60 painting to be worth $200,000 because you're not looking for it. You don't expect it. And I think we often miss out on those sort of amazing experiences because we're simply, again, not looking for them. We're not registering them. We're not familiar, and so we let those things pass us by. And all of it is about perception and understanding and wisdom and experience. And so it made me, of course, think of what I talked about last week. I've been excited to follow all of the Artemis II stuff, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well. And I've been really interested in the astronaut Christina Koch, who she set the record for the longest space flight for a woman, spending a year in the International Space Station. She recently became the first woman to orbit the moon, as you followed. Upon her return, she was asked what she learned with her new perspective, what the dark side of the moment was for her, because I think in many ways we all have our dark side of the moment experiences. She explained that the thing that was most apparent to her was that Earth looked like a tiny little life raft in the middle of a cold darkness. What struck me, she says, wasn't necessarily just Earth. It was all the blackness, the darkness around it, that Earth was just this little lifeboat hanging on, disturbingly small in the universe. And that while she was a part of a small crew that was on a shared mission that she described as inescapably, beautifully, and dutifully linked, she said this: I know I haven't learned everything that this journey has yet to teach me, but here's the new thing I know, and that is, planet Earth, you are a crew, just like our crew. You are a crew. You are on a ship. We are on this beautiful big planet, and seeing it from far away, she was struck in her new perception that we have this beautiful gift, oceans and trees and rivers and things you can see, the greenery and all the things you can see from far away, that we are on this little ship, this little life raft, and that we need to treat it well and treat each other well, because we are the ones that will get us through life, right? In the same way that her crew got them through their big flight. We are a crew, and we are on a mission. I don't think there's anything more beautiful of an imagery that's also very timely than to think of not only church that way or any community that way, that we are the ones we are waiting for. We are the crew. We do different things and different tasks, but we're trying to get somewhere important. We are co-creators of a better world with the creator of the universe. And from that perspective, the Earth was one unified entity to them all, right? You couldn't see borders or boundaries from space. And so they reminded us, the Artemis crew, that we are all in this together. We are blessed to have this amazing planet, and so we should take care of it and take care of each other. And again, aside from the Artemis II crew being an amazing example of collaboration, competency, and curiosity, which felt really novel and beautiful in our world, we remember that science and faith not only can coexist, but can enhance one another in our lives. It's when you're on a mission also we learn from them. That not only is it good for a mission to be on time, which I think one of the most on-time arrivals of a spacecraft in history, and then you look at the comm room and you see all the WHO women, right, in charge of that, we're gonna get here and it's gonna be at this time. It was amazing to watch the incredible competency. But the thing that struck me most about the experience as we're watching it and seeing Artemis II was all the joy. Did you see them? All the joy they had in what they were doing. Their team leader, Commander Reed Wiseman, explained one of their work ethics. Did you hear about it? He called it the joy train. He said, when something is hard and they're struggling, it's tempting to complain and grumble instead of focus and solve the problem, because of course in space, solving a problem means life or death, right? Their problems are pretty big. He would often say, come back and join us on the joy train. Come back and join us on the joy. The joy train means we got to change our mindset, change our perception, get some wisdom in there, open ourselves up from grumbling, and fix the problem. What does joy, though, have to do with exacting and difficult work that scientists do to get us further in exploring the world and the cosmos? You see, the destination or the goal or the mission objective or the walk away from on the Emmaus Road, the destination is as important as the journey itself. The mission objective is important, but how they got there is also important. How you treat others along the way is critical for what you're doing in life and success. And I think the entire world watched and cheered and cried and talked about the Artemis II. And I know for me, it became very moving because I lost my father last year, and there's no one that loved all of this science, NASA. He followed the landings. One of my favorite memories, and Ron and I were talking about this because he went there too, was going to Cape Canaveral as a kid and seeing all of that. My dad loved that kind of stuff, and I'm so sad he's not here to witness it because he would have loved it. But I think there's something beautiful happening because I think we're longing for that kind of community and meaning. We're longing for our perceptions to be changed about the world, right? We want a meaningful mission and a collective delight. In a world full of meanness and cruelty, the example that they set was, I think, an inspiration for all of us. I mean, what good is reaching a goal if you have alienated everyone, treated people terribly, had bad behavior, and you got to the goal, but what did you lose? What did you miss along the way? I truly think that the mission and how they collaborated was an unexpected, wonderful representation, again, of what I think the church should be like. That we're on a mission with a purpose. We're supposed to be collaborative. We're supposed to be excellent. And above all, we are supposed to do it with what? Joy. Joy. I was thinking if you guys were seeing it like, wake up. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. Joy. We're supposed to do it with joy. And again, joy isn't happiness. Happiness requires happenings, things happening and going well. And joy is something that transcends that. It doesn't escape reality, right? It doesn't pretend reality isn't hard. But in the middle of it, you have joy so that you can open up your mind to see what really is happening around you so you can solve the problem, see the thing, shake the person's hand, have the meal, right? You are in this present moment. I think sometimes when we have our phones or our iPads or whatever, and again, I'm not anti-technology. I'm on an iPad right now teaching, but sometimes we're not where we are. We're somewhere else, right? We're scrolling and we're opening up, and there's nothing wrong with scrolling and opening up and looking at things, but sometimes I want to say, but here you are. There's someone in front of you. There's someone next to you, right? Look, see, experience, open, expand. Two of my favorite things that I learned about the Artemis mission and the aftermath were these things. The first thing is that they took meaningful artifacts with them in their flight kit. Did you know that? They have a swatch of fabric from the original Wright brothers, 1903 plane. They had flags from former missions. Some of the missions didn't make it, and so there are missions in the past, and we all think of Challenger, right? If you're Gen X or older, when you saw that launch, you had a little bit of PTSD, right, from the Challenger. Who was in a classroom or somewhere watching the Challenger? So traumatic, right? So traumatic. But they brought a little piece of it, right? So like there are flights that never got to go around the moon or complete their mission, and yet they did now through Artemis II. And I love that. I love that NASA thinks of these things, right? They explained it this way at NASA. They said, this mission will bring together pieces of our earliest achievements in aviation, defining moments from human spaceflight, and symbols of where we are headed next. During America's 250th anniversary, Orion will carry astronauts around the moon while also carrying our history forward into the next chapter beyond Earth. Any trip we take is both a destination and a journey, both equally. Where we're going is important, but again, who we are and how we get there matters. Any road is a magical space between where we were and where we were going, right? But we often get focused on either the place we left or the place we're going, and then we miss the beauty of the journey in between, right? So in scripture, as in lots of literature, any metaphor that involves people on a journey on a road, really what strategically that's telling you and thematically is that there is a change happening. There's a change coming. We're going to a new destination. And that's really the post-resurrection story. How did the post-resurrection experience change the people that were there and the church, and how does it change us? The beauty of meaning all around us. And the difference between giving to a specific destination is helpful. It's the difference between like going somewhere, so where you're like, we're going to drive here, and you just think about that, versus going on a road trip. You've ever been on a road trip? What's the difference between like driving someplace and a road trip? Like a road trip to me symbolizes like I'm going to get snacks, like we're going to stop wherever we need to, we're going to see the thing, right? We're going to have fun. And like just a destination feels like we're just going to stay in the car, hold it, right? Like we're not even stopping a whole bunch, right? Like we're just going to go for it. We got to get there. But a road trip is really more like what we're on, right? That like, yeah, we're getting somewhere, but we're going to do it with fun and openness and creativity and joy and stop when we need to and see the things. A road trip implies at least that part of it will be fun. How we're getting there matters. And the trip itself is meaningful regardless of where we're getting to at the end. And I think that's true of our lives as well. And I think this is what's going on here with the disciples. I truly think they are so focused on where they were, right? They're grumbling, they're sad, understandably so. They're afraid, understandably so. Their sadness, their fears, it limited their understanding of what was going on around them. And they literally couldn't see what was right in front of them. And it reminds us that the past is great, that place we left is great, but we can't stay there. And the future is exciting, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. And I think sometimes as human beings, we're tempted to let our mind, our perception, our experiences keep us in one place or the other. Either we're too future-focused, too worried about what's going to happen or anxious, or we're looking back and going, oh, those times, oh, those goodness. And oftentimes, that's a rosy colored glass, right? Like, never as good as we thought. And the in-between is where we are in any given moment. The future is exciting, but it's not here yet. The past was great, but it's not there anymore. We are here. So often in the in-between moment. In fact, most of our lives will be journeys, and only occasionally we will reach destinations. And it's this surprising in-between moment where Jesus shows up. He isn't recognized, I believe, because their eyes are closed to anything but their own understandings, experiences. They are grumbling. They are trying to solve the problem. They are upset, and all of that is understandable. But I wonder if they were on the crew, they would say, you guys got to get on the joy train. You got to open yourself up to what's happening, what the possibilities are. And I wonder if and what happens is, if you see the Greek sentence, it literally means, so the Greek of that, where they couldn't see, literally means their eyes were held back from knowing him. Their eyes were held back from knowing him. I think they weren't looking for him, and so they didn't find him. We often will not find things we're not looking for. And the second thing I loved about the Artemis II trip was, that I learned about the mission afterwards, was that the ground crew had hidden some items aboard the mission. Did you find this out? Did you kind of see the dynamic of this? So day 9, so they're up there for a while. Day 9, they're asked to look around, that there's things hidden. It was like a little scavenger hunt aboard, right? It turned out to be socks, which apparently are very helpful in space. I don't think people wear shoes in space, which I didn't know. Makes sense, because you're not walking on the ground, but so socks. They got a really nice pair of socks, and I can relate to this. They got really good coffee. So cool. And the question you might have is, what does a new pair of socks and good coffee have to do with getting someone successfully to the moon and back? What does that have to do with it? Why use precious space and weight and allocation of it for what was called items of joy? Psychiatrist Stephen H. Moffick wrote this about the joy that he saw in Artemis II. He said, there seems to be 3 conditions that help elicit joy, as observed and now experienced: growing and gratifying relationships, which they had, and growing more aligned with your own values. And all of these conditions connect with what gives us life the most meaning. Perhaps one of these experiences is what is written in a common fortune cookie prediction: an unexpected event will give you joy. It's important for us to align our values, to have gratifying relationships, to have fun and joy in the middle of it all. We will experience something incredible as the space team did. Joy enhances meaning, and joy reminds us who we are meant to be as human beings on this little planet, this little life raft in the universe called Earth. And I think that what the disciples experienced of their hearts burning within them, literally, their hearts were on fire. They said, basically, weren't our bodies telling us something, right? Sometimes we've experienced this. I know I have. My mind doesn't catch up to my body, right? Sometimes, have you ever felt like anxious and you kind of don't know why, or you feel excited and you don't know why? And it's your body perceiving the world around you that something is not quite right. And it takes a little bit for your mind to catch up. And sometimes I think that's the unexpected goodness around us. Like, I imagine if I was someone working at the Daily Planet with Clark Kent, I would like hang out with him and be like, oh, the guy with glasses, he seems fine. And I imagine I'd be there going, there's just something about him. I don't know, And I'm sure that my body would sort of know before my brain could figure it out. Again, I think it's because joy is so important, it opens us up to things. We're made for it. We're made for that meaning and joy. I think sometimes we live lives where we just think we're made for meaning, to do meaningful things, and I think that's true. But we're also made for joy. Both are necessary for a full and purposeful life. I wonder if, like the NASA space crew, if we all could look for items of joy around us all the time. And at least some of what the stories of God and the experiences we have of the divine are about, right? It really is simply God trying to tell us this phrase: pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. You might be having supper with the risen Christ. Open your eyes of your mind, right, of the wisdom, to see the unbelievable, to understand the unexpected, and be reminded of this, that joy is not a detour. Joy is not something that is just a side note of our lives. Joy is our companion. Joy is our companion. Joy defies logic, defies experience, defies our past understanding, defies our current reality sometimes. And while regular heartburn tells us something's wrong, anyone have heartburn ever? There's pills for that, I think, right? And you know something's wrong. Holy heartburn is telling us something is right. Something is right. Holy heartburn, where our spirit feels something, is trying to tell us something is right. Holy heartburn helps us notice something we didn't anticipate or expect. It stops us and makes us look around and see what we are possibly missing if we don't pay attention to our surroundings. So my hope and my prayer is that we notice the items of joy in our lives. Right? Maybe we are the items of joy the world needs too. Maybe we are the items of joy that then our neighbors will discover, our friends will discover, right? And so my hope and my prayer is that all of our lives will be full of unexpected items of joy, and that we will all anticipate with great expectation and recognition with our whole hearts that we will meet Christ at every table, at every meal, and every part of our journey. May you find the joy in the items around you that are unexpectedly given to you by God. And may you be the joy that someone else needs. May it be so. Amen.